using your influence in the media because of you have obviously you're Aaron Rodgers. You've had a longer career, more
Mhm.
longevity. You're better, and the
Mhm.
guys talking about you about are washed up or quote unquote washed up players who are out of the league. Where do you draw that line?
I mean, washed up players, like
Former teammates.
I mean, at that point, I think it's just I do think it's just like hate. I think it's just people just keep running their mouth. Like I don't know because you if are these people that are throwing shots at him, are they still playing?
No, such a thing. Some of them are unnamed sources. One of them is Jermichael Finley. Another guy was Deshaun Harris. I think he's still in the league. He's a running back. And former receiver Greg Jennings, who was a Pro Bowl receiver. His his like number one go to target for like 3 years, 3 4 years.
I mean, to me, it just sounds like a bunch of hate. It does. I mean, like, there's a lot of trolls out there, and when you are well respected, like a lot of people, they gotta hate. So I think that's what it sounds like to me. I don't know. What do you think?
I would have to go on and say that
You think there's some truth to what they're saying?
there's definitely some truth to it because those young receivers that he had, Valdez Scantling, Cornelius St. Brown, Jamon Moore, who were kind of injured, but those guys really just didn't get any touches or any love towards the end of the season. At one point, Valdez Scantling was averaging like 23 yards a catch. He was doing really good for a rookie 7th round pick. And those kids are talented. Like, those are some talented young receivers that they could build with. But Aaron Rodgers wasn't connecting with them, so we just assumed that it's the receiver's fault. And then the story that
Mm,
came out, it's already said, like, yeah, if you sided with McCarthy and your position coach, Aaron Rodgers would ice you out. And it's like, if you're going to ice me out and the coaches think I'm doing bad and they think it's my fault, like, I'm in a no-win situation.
oh, okay, okay. See, can I switch my answer now?
Sure.
Can I, or is
You,
that am I flip flop? I can't do that. I gotta stick
I
to what I
mean,
said before
we've flip flopped before on this podcast, this broadcast.
because I didn't know the whole back. I didn't know that was like okay. So if that's
There's
the
more to
case,
be revealed.
well, if that's the case, and that's like one of the main reasons out there that it's like credible, then I definitely will switch my answer and think like maybe he was just trying to like use his title and be like, well, I know I'm good, so it has to be them, which is unfortunate because, of course, we're going to think, maybe these rookies don't know how to run the routes like how we run the routes on this team. So maybe, but then also, like I said, you know what? Maybe I'm in between. I'll say I'm in between. So I do think that maybe, like you said, there is some truth to it, and maybe that he is kind of like this douchebag that's like, yo, I'm gonna keep playing, and it's probably the wide receivers, but also too, there's a lot of trolls. So
Yeah, I mean, I I think it's gonna really pay dividends with this draft and obviously OTAs and the season itself. Like what receiver he kind of targets in on. Obviously, no, Randall Cobb is gone. Jordy was almost gonna come out of retirement or. Ooh,
bless you.
wow, thanks. So I mean, it's pretty much Devontae Adams is the target on that team. And Aaron Jones probably should have got the ball way more. He averaged like 7 yards a carry. So this Aaron Rodgers situation, I really think people, the longer this plays out, we're really gonna see like, you know what, his narrative might change before our eyes. What we actually
Mm,
thought of Aaron Rodgers, like, is he just worse than Brett Favre? Like,
hmm.
it's interesting how patterns kind of play out and life plays out and how relationships kind of turn. Because when we first got there, Aaron Rodgers was given all the benefit of the doubt.
Mm-hmm.
But now all he's getting is attacks and critiques. And it's harder to ignore them. I
mean, going back to referencing the last episode, a few episodes, you guys were talking about how the NFL changed some of the rules, correct?
Yep.
So, isn't that also doesn't that give the opportunity for people to troll even more? Because now they changed the rules of the game, and maybe they're like, "Oh, look at him! He's throwing, bad throws because of the rule change." If that makes sense.
I think it's more of, if he plays bad, was it him playing bad? Was it his teammates not being where they're supposed to be? Or is it him freelancing so much? Or is it him being so much of a cowboy that the team's failing? Because if you go back and look in the article, it's like Mike McCarthy never cared about the defense, never checked on the defense, and it showed for years because their defense was putrid. So it's like now they have a really good young nucleus of defensive backs. They signed a really good safety in Adrian Amos. And it's just really interesting to me now. They got pass rushers and what they're going to do in the draft. I think this is probably the most pressure Aaron Rodgers has ever had on him, I would say. And it's going to be really interesting to see how this all plays out. But moving on, we got other quarterbacks in play. So Russell Wilson negotiating a new contract with the Seahawks. And pretty much he set a deadline last week. I think it was April 15th. Got to double check my timeline, but he set a deadline. Pretty much, I want a new contract. Need a new contract. And honestly, I don't know if Pete Carroll really has the stones to do it, but possibly trading Russell Wilson for 2 first-round picks would be pretty ballsy. I would be really shocked if he made that trade, but I think they're going to pay him because you don't dismantle your whole team, the Legion of Boom and all that, give him the ball instead of Marshawn Lynch on the 1-yard line, which I'm still angry about. By the way, Pete, I'm taking Marshawn Lynch over Ricky Williams. Love Ricky Williams, but I'm taking Marshawn Lynch. But anyway, you don't have all that history. All those articles come out about the culture in Seattle to rebuild the team in your image and build it around Russell Wilson to not pay Russell Wilson. So it's really kind of everything is kind of going right for Russell. Got Sierra her masters and didn't say anything. Huge. That was huge. That was a huge flex. That was a huge flex.
Huge flex on Future.
Damn. Future
he's just sad right now.
Whew.
And he got little Future playing baseball and football. I'm just like, yo.
And now Sierra's trying to change his kid's name to Russell Wilson.
Is that really real?
Yeah, the story came out. Sierra's trying to change Future son's name to pretty much be under Russell Wilson.
Yo, that is okay. That's, I guess, a topic for another day. But
no, we can have a topic right now. It's just I'm really taken aback by how much Russell Wilson is winning in life right now.
Yeah,
it's textbook. Bravo to him. I mean, his team's trash and his offensive line is terrible, but good for him as an individual person.
That's just messy.
Messy on both sides.
Yeah. I mean, he would be a swell gentleman and add more points to his name and his title if he says, nah, don't change that kid's name to my name. Because if he does, that's adding fuel to the fire of Future's L. So
it's kind of because it's like he took an L trying to speak and compare himself to Nipsey Hussle, and it's like you aren't. We see what you tried to do. We see what you tried to do.
I don't know what he was trying to do. I didn't even see it. I couldn't see it because there was nothing there to see. No comparison.
He deleted it. He deleted
that
the
was
comment.
the most far. I don't know.
He was trying to compare like being hardworking and never giving up. People were like, "Fam, you talk about like doing drugs and doing horrible shit
That is not even apples
and you don't take
oranges.
care of your children."
That's literally apples and monkeys, bro.
Damn.
That is like two extremes. Like, I'm sorry. Like, no.
Say how you really feel.
Like, no. Like, really, Future? Like, no. You do not. He has not set any positive example in
and he
his
lied
community
about doing drugs
or our community. So
that's what you're pretty much saying. That Future,
he's a fraud.
Bruh. He's a fraud. Yikes. Not looking good. And a like commercial just came out with Sierra, like directing her own video shoot, probably singing about Russell. Yeah, man, Russell Wilson's killing it. Like, shout out to Russell Wilson. Now, I'm going to quickly just run through the names of the attendees that we have right now for the NFL draft. So, obviously, at the top, you got QB Kyler Murray out of Oklahoma, Heisman winner. Clemson All-American and legend Christian Wilkins, defensive tackle, Alabama running back, who I think shouldn't go in the first round, but hey, whatever. That's just me. Well, if he busts out in 2 years, don't say anything to me. All y'all who think Josh Jacobs is a great running back. I wouldn't take a single running back in this first round. Y'all are on drugs, but whatever. So yeah, Josh Jacobs is going to be there. Montez Sweat, the fastest defensive lineman in the history of football. Faster than probably your favorite receiver because he's 6'6", 260, and he ran a 4.41. That's pretty horrifying. That's 10.4 track speed.
Yo,
that's stupid fast.
That is stupid fast. Like every time I hear numbers like that, I always think about like Dawn of the Dead or like
28 days later.
Yeah, 28 days later. Like what would happen? And they're chasing me, and I had nothing. Like what would I do?
Your body would just trigger a dopamine rush.
Just like, I'm gonna take this. Like, there's no running it. Unless you had something to, even then, like to whack it or whatever. I don't know. Like just thinking about, he can go that fast already. So imagine if they're like superhuman speed. Like,
and like his only defect is that he has like a slight heart murmur. So it's like it may affect him, it may not.
Right.
But even him slowed down, not at full speed, is still probably like a 4.6. That's still stupid fast for a man his size. So Montez Sweat will be there. Tight end Noah Fant out of Iowa, who ran a 4.51. Again, insanely fast for a tight end. Some receivers and corners don't run that fast. Speaking of corners, DeAndre Baker, Georgia corner, who hasn't allowed a touchdown in like 2 years, but Georgia still choked in the national title game. So what do you know? Kentucky edge rusher Josh Allen. He's probably going to be the #1 overall pick. I'm just going to say it. If he's not, he's going to fall to either the Jets or the Raiders, and I'm actually cool with either one of those spots. Edge rusher and Donald Trump apologist and huge supporter of Donald Trump and all things MAGA, and he hated Black Panther and said it was a terrible movie, and he talked shit about Beyonce. Edge rusher out of Ohio State, Nick Bosa. Just kind of. I mean, you said he deleted a lot of his tweets because he might get drafted to San Francisco. So you already said a bunch of racist suspect stuff. So now you want to delete your Twitter. Is that what I'm hearing?
Like that's going to erase what you did.
Your tweets, I mean. Like, we saw it, bro. I'm just kidding. I'm confused when people delete, like, their tweets. Like, no, if I said it, I said it, and if you were standing in front of me, I'd look you in the eye and say it. And we would just deal with it how we deal with it. But